Everybody, again. I hope my audio is better on ZipDX, but we're here live and we're going to be talking to Julien from Sangoma about their exciting new appliance. And Julien, because I'm never sure whether my audio is any good, why don't you introduce yourself? Sangoma needs no introduction, and then tell us about the product we're going to be talking about.
Okay, well, my name is Julien Neftali, and I'm a product manager here at Sangoma. And today I'm going to be talking about the Lync Express appliance, which is our all-in-one appliance, Lync appliance with a voice over IP, software voice over IP integrated into the appliance running on Sangoma's telephony boards.
Okay, let's talk a little about Lync, which I know absolutely nothing about. Could we get a Lync expert, guys, in the IRC? Somebody say something when it's time for questions. Lync is from Microsoft, L-Y-N-C. Give me the elevator pitch on Lync, because I really don't know what it is even. I guess it's something that can be integrated into that world of enterprise if you are tied into Microsoft. Let's hear it.
Exactly. So Lync is Microsoft's response to unified communications. So what it does is it gives presence and instant messaging to its users. It gives audio, video, conferencing and collaboration. And it also enables telephony, voice telephony. And one of the major interesting aspects of Lync is that it provides a very deep integration with all the suite of Office products. So that's in a nutshell.
Okay, and Jerry just typed in that Ford also has Lync in their cars, which I did not know.
Ford Sync, I think is what he meant.
He's joking, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm so gullible. I'm sorry, Jerry. Sync, right? Oh, that was terrible. Okay, very funny. Let's move on. So, who's the target of this product, Julien? Tell us about it.
So, well, if I can make can I do a little screen share to give
sure,
it's always better to do a little visual.
Mm-hmm.
So let me bring in my screen. Hold on a second. Okay. So here's my screen. So here, as you can see, this is the whole Microsoft Lync architecture, and I'm going to go over each detail of this slide. So no, I'm not. This is very. The purpose of this slide here is to just show you how complex a Lync integration can be. So what we wanted to do, so I'll show you here, is more of a simplified view of the Lync components. So I'm just going to wait for my screen to sync for everyone. There we go. Okay, so what you can see here is you have your main server Lync pool here, where all the Lync users connect for their IM and presence and collaboration. And what you have as well, so this would be the main office, and then you would have a voice over IP gateway that would be necessary to communicate to the outside world via a PSTN link. Via the PSTN network, sorry. And also another type of scenario would be where you have remote branch offices where other Lync users would connect to the centralized server pool of Lync servers. And also you would have the edge server, which is a component which could be named as a. It could be a good analogy of an edge server would be some type of session border controller or a firewall for the Lync environment, basically. So it does authentication of Lync remote users that are remote or working from home, for example. Okay. So what we said is, wouldn't it be nice if we could just combine all of these components here that are circled in red into one single appliance, so that it would greatly, ease the installation and configuration of Lync for a small and medium business market, small and medium business enterprise. So that's what we decided to do, and that's where we came up with the Lync Express appliance. Okay, so the Lync Express appliance consists of a Lync Server 2010 Standard Edition, and so this Standard Edition comprises multiple roles inside of the Lync server, such as the mediation server, which is used to connect to voice over IP gateways. And inside of this appliance, we have NetBoard Express, which is our software voice over IP gateway that runs on top of Sangoma's telephony boards. And it's a Lync certified voice over IP gateway. And it enables customer with a PRI interface, so a T1, E1 interface to connect over the PSTN and enable all, what it does is it translates that PSTN signal into a voice over IP, SIP, voice over IP signal, so that it enables the Lync communication to the outside world, and it enables all of the internal Lync users that are using voice over IP technology to talk to the outside world. Another interesting aspect is that we also provide 4 FXS lines, which are analog telephony lines, and the purpose of these lines is to enable legacy equipment, legacy telephony equipment, such as telephones or faxes, and to enable them inside of the Lync ecosystem. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, the appliance.
Oops.
So,
oh,
yeah.
Okay, you dropped off. You dropped off for just a second. Go ahead. You're there.
Oh no. Okay. So yeah. Just one more thing. So the market right now for this first release, what we have is we have one PRI interface. So that gives us for North America, it gives us 23 voice channels, and for Europe and pretty much the rest of the world, it gives us 30 voice channels. So we estimate, based on a rule of thumb in telephony where you have one voice line for 4 users in an office environment, we estimate that this product is ideal for an enterprise that goes from 25 to 100 users.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
There's a question in IRC about looking at the diagram, if it's possible. Where would a SIP trunk attach to this project? I hope these guys aren't kidding me, because I really don't know anything about this.
No, this is a very valid question. Yes, indeed. So right now, at the moment, if you look at the diagram, NetBorder Express is our voice over IP gateway, and that's our value proposition with this appliance, is that pretty much all of the certified Lync professionals in the Microsoft ecosystem have no knowledge in terms of PSTN voice telephony protocols. So that's our value proposition here. We're experts in terms of handling PSTN communications and translating them over to SIP. So that's the value proposition here that we bring with our voice over IP gateway. Now, if you wanted to have a SIP trunk, you would not need the NetBorder Express gateway, since you would have a SIP signal that goes in straight towards the Lync Express. However, we are working on another version of this appliance that would have a session border controller, which an analogy of a session border controller is see it as a firewall for voice. So it provides security features, and so we will, in the upcoming, up on the roadmap, we have plans to have a session border controller that we could replace NetBorder Express with, and that would enable users to use this appliance with a SIP trunk. Okay. Another option in the meantime would be that we could eventually, instead of having a PRI, a one T1E1 interface, we could have an analog 4 FXO line, okay, to connect over an analog signal, and that would enable the users to connect directly the SIP trunk into the mediation server, so directly into Lync, and they could use those analog line as a failover in case the SIP trunk would have a malfunction. Okay, and another thing. So there's just to put a bit of perspective, is I've just spent a week at a conference, at a Microsoft conference, the World Partner Conference in Toronto, and I got to speak to a lot of Microsoft employees and a lot of Lync vendors as well, and it was very we had a tremendous response, a lot of interest in this product, and as well, we came out with that initial one PRI version, but with talking with all the Microsoft people, we realized that there was a market for a version with 4 analog lines for smaller offices that would have 25 employees and less, and there's also a market as well for larger, up to 200 employees. So we will have other versions of this product. So we'll have a 4FXO analog line version coming out. We'll have a 1 PRI as well as a 2 PRI to accommodate all of these various sizes of enterprises. Do we have any other questions?
Yeah, there's a question, and I think Tim is going to be able to voice it. Tim?
Yeah, I think so. If this is working,
yep.
Cool. Yeah. So I was just curious when you mentioned Microsoft. I was wondering where you fit in with the Skype ecosystem. Is there any likelihood that a box like this would allow us to interact with Skype in a more kind of programmable way than is available at the moment?
So this is an interesting question. During this conference I was last week, I had a chance to attend a few sessions on Lync, and someone in the audience asked this particular question to a Microsoft product manager, and so his answer basically I'm just going to say what he said. I'll just say what he told the audience was that at the moment, well, there are plans down the road. They really have plans to integrate Skype into the Lync ecosystem. So what they did, part of their strategy post-acquisition of Skype was that they took a product manager from the Skype team and a product manager from the Lync team, and they joined them together in order to brainstorm and to find a technical solution. But they said that yes, this is definitely in their plans to enable Skype as an endpoint inside of the Lync ecosystem, and that makes a lot of sense in terms of strategy for Microsoft. So this is, yes, you could see eventually in future versions of Lync you might see an integration, but at the moment there's no path right now. There's no technical path to have an integration with Skype at the moment.
Okay, a couple of questions, one of which I wish the phone buff would ask himself. Phone buff, are you called in? If so, no, he's on. All right, he's just listening. I hate to read this because I have, once again, I'm not really conversant with this, but he says he was using a Vega 50 with asterisk and fighting with Microsoft Exchange issues. How does this compare? Does that mean anything to you, Julian? Because it doesn't mean anything to me at all.
Vega 50, yes. So Vega 50 is a Sangoma gateway. So it's a Sangoma. It's an external gateway. So NetBoard Express is a software gateway which runs on a PC, while the Vega 50 is an appliance, external appliance that is a voice over IP gateway that can do FXO, FXS, and BRI lines. So he was integrating a Vega 50 with asterisk and Microsoft Exchange. So this was not. Could you ask if it was part of Lync? Was Lync part of this deployment?
Apparently not, if I understood correctly.
So that means he was using.
He said, "How does this compare?" Phone buff, you're listening. So no, not right now. He said.
Okay. So how would this compare? So why was he? So yeah, I need more information. I don't have enough information on hand to answer that question. I would need to know.
Let's phone buff. If you could type the question in a longer form, and we'll move on to the next one first. And I'm laughing because Julian, you see that too. Jerry has a picture of what's which is kind of funny. Anyway,
Steve Ballmer. Yeah.
This is Ballmer. Yeah, you'd have to be watching the video to see that. The other question was, first of all, about Jingle a la Google Voice, and also, what does he log off to SIP-DX? Okay, that was his. Jingle. What about Jingle? Anything?
Jingle. Wow. Not familiar with that. The Google Voice. I'm familiar with the product. Right now, Google Voice, from what I know, is pretty limited. I mean, if you wanted to have an apples to apples comparison, what does Microsoft Lync compare to? You would have to look at the Cisco, so the Cisco Call Manager infrastructure, and as well as Avaya as well would have, in terms of UC, Unified Communications. I don't think Google has any offering that compares to Microsoft Lync at the moment. Google Voice is pretty limited in terms of features.
I have a question, if I may.
Yeah, sure.
It's more about going back to the appliance itself, actually. Now, you've got Lync Server 2010 in there, and you say it's on a PC base, so I'm assuming that you're running Windows Server 2008 underneath there somewhere. And within the normal Lync infrastructure, if you're just doing a single server like you are there, where Microsoft will tell you it's limited to about 500 concurrent users, you have a storage pool, which would quite normally be local. Is that included in there? Do you actually run storage on that machine as well?
It's a standalone machine. So it enables Lync inside of that one appliance. We have 320 gig hard drives that are RAID as well, so mirrored over RAID. So yes, there is storage on this. And another interesting aspect as well is that we have a Hyper-V virtual machine as well enabled, because in order to run Microsoft Lync, you must have a domain controller with an Active Directory present. And if the enterprise where you're installing this does not have a domain controller, you can enable our Hyper-V virtual machine to have that domain controller on that same appliance there. So it's really a full-featured Lync server enablement for the enterprise solution.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, it certainly does. I've done a couple of test implementations of Microsoft Lync. I haven't done one actually for a client. But one of the things that I found was the inordinate number of servers you need to run everything. I mean, you do need a domain controller. You do need an Exchange server. You do need an Edge server. You don't really need a mediation server. I would assume that that's all part of it in here. So I can see the usefulness of this in cutting down such things. Does it have an Edge server in there as well?
So the Edge server is not part of the full standard Lync Server 2010. It must be installed on a separate machine. And that's where we can leverage that Hyper-V virtual machine where we have the domain controller. We can install the Edge server on that virtual machine. So yes, the Edge server can be part of this solution as well.
Okay. And what do they call it? Microsoft Internet Gateway to give you reverse proxy capabilities. That one as well? How much capability have we got within this machine for running various virtual systems?
I think for now we've only offered one virtual machine. There, as if there is demand to add additional virtual machines, the hardware appliance is capable, has the capacity to handle more VMs. But for now, we only see the case for one VM. I believe that. Well, I don't want to be mistaken here. I think that proxy role is part of the standard release. Now, when you have when you have many types of servers to install, is typically when you install the enterprise version of Lync, where you have multiple servers across your pool of Lync servers. Now, with the Lync standard, I think they made this for, just like you mentioned, less than 500 seats to enable this to be run on a single server. So I believe that the web proxy is part of the Lync server. Maybe the IRC or the chat could correct me if.
While we're waiting for that correction, we've got some questions piled up here too.
Great.
Here's the first one, but this is great. I love when we have questions, especially since I know nothing. The question for Julien: any idea how to connect non-Lync phones, such as Polycom IP430, to Lync?
So that goes a bit outside of my expertise in terms of.
I think he was throwing that out there to see if you had a quick answer on that.
No, I do not have knowledge on that. This would be more pointed to be directed to.
Okay, so here's a more direct question. This is Phone Buff who clarified it, I hope. And he says, if I replace the Asterisk box with an MS Lync box, what's the size of the learning curve for device integration, dial plans, security issues, backup, and recovery? That seems to be an excellent question, so hopefully you can speak to that for a while. Okay. Learning curve.
The learning curve is, well, having myself, started from scratch with Lync a few years ago when it was called the OCS, Office Communication Server.
Yeah.
This is it's quite complex. And just as Andy just mentioned earlier as well, it's very complex. There's a steep learning curve, but I believe there's a lot of value in learning this technology, because it's, from what I've seen at this conference, there just every session that it lasted over 4 days, from Monday until yesterday, and every session that had the word Lync, I had to be there about 20 minutes in advance, or else it was full. You just could not get in. So out of the 6 sessions, I only got to go to 3, because unfortunately they were too far, so I couldn't get in time to get a seat. So there is a lot of buzz. There was a lot of buzz over Lync, and it seems to be one of the top 3 contenders in terms of the UC market, and there's a lot of value. What the Microsoft folks were telling me is that they start slow just by giving IM and presence, and once the customers see the value, then they start adding audio video conferencing to the package, and finally they start adding enterprise voice, and they've been having a lot of success. So it's always good, it's always good to know more technologies, to add that to your tool belt, as to say, is I think is something of real value there. And yeah, the learning curve is steep, but I think it's worth it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's particularly worth it if you're already in that universe, which I'm not, as I've said. But if you're in that realm now, obviously you need the tools that go with it. Jerry's back. So Jerry, can you ask your question so that you can start the discussion and react to it? You got audio? Jerry?
Yeah,
he's thinking.
Background.
Okay. Yeah, you're on the wrong mic, but go ahead and ask a question. Maybe Julian here.
Yeah, real fast. So if you had looked at a hypervisor before, either the edge or whatever you want to stick on the hypervisor, what kind of impact does that have against the scale of the platform?
And I'll read what he wrote, because that wasn't too... He said if you instantiate the hypervisor, this sounds like Klingon to me, but if you instantiate the hypervisor, what kind of impact or performance and scale of the device was the question, I guess.
So yeah, so I think if the hypervisor is the Hyper-V, so it's the virtual machine. Just by enabling that virtual machine, will it have an impact on the performance of the system? Just because virtual machine technology can be a constraint to performance on a PC. However, we've dimensioned this PC to have sufficient computer power and sufficient memory to handle this Hyper-V virtual machine, and we could even go up to 2 Hyper-Vs. But for the moment, we're just going to play it safe and just go for 1. But definitely 1 Hyper-V will not have an impact on the performance of this appliance.
Okay. And TSM is saying, why don't you just offer the software as a live CD type thing, or installable, so people can choose their own hardware? Well, I think one of the obvious answers is that Sangoma makes great hardware, but I'll let Julian address that question.
Oh, well, yes. Well, NetBoard Express is a software gateway, and the question is right, absolutely right. So you can download the software from our website. You can give it a try as well. So it runs on both Windows and Linux. And we sell it with other type of PBX vendors as well. We've bundled this product with other type of unified communication vendors. So I would invite you to go on the Sangoma website and go have a look at NetBoard Express, and you can download it and give it a try. It comes with 12 free licenses, so you can have 12 concurrent calls free of charge. So the software is free, and of course you need to purchase a Sangoma telephony board. Okay, so what's the value here that we bring here by packaging all of this is that all of the software is all pre-installed. So that's the advantage of choosing this appliance, and all you need to do is to configure it, add your licensing, and configure the software, and you're ready to go.
Is that good? I'm waiting for somebody to type something in. Okay on that. It's great if you guys could if you guys could voice your questions. I realize that some of you are not dialed in, but when you can, it's a little bit more interactive. Okay, here we go. The Kisco Kid. Go ahead.
So this is Mercutio. I typed in a question, but
yeah.
I
I didn't get to it. I didn't get to it, so that's perfect. Now you can ask it. Go ahead.
Okay, so I was curious. Some of us aren't sure exactly where Lync fits into the whole ecosystem. Like I come from the FreeSwitch side of things, so I know exactly what FreeSwitch does. But when I hear about Lync, I know it has all these like hooks into the Microsoft ecosystem of things. What we're not sure about, a lot of us, is what's on the other side. In other words, what can hook into Lync? What can it actually do on the media side, connecting phones, connecting SIP, that kind of stuff? So where does Lync sit? Maybe from a 10,000 foot view, you could start there and then zero in.
So for the that's a good question. In terms of the phones that can be connected, I think you need to have a certified Microsoft Lync phone because they use a codec, the RTA codec, which is a Microsoft only codec, and so all of the internal Lync components use this codec to communicate amongst each other, and the way that Lync communicates with the outside world would be through the mediation server. So if you want to interact with Lync, there's a component of Lync called the mediation server, which does all of the translation from the RTA codec over to the G711 codec, so that it can integrate with SIP trunks or it can integrate with voice over IP gateways. And this is where you could use FreeSwitch, for example. You could front FreeSwitch in front of a mediation server in order to integrate it with Lync. Does that?
Okay, that's good to know. I wasn't aware of that specific feature / limitation. So the RTA codec, and as far as you know on the mediation server, is it only G711 that it supports in terms of talking to the outside world? Just curious about things like higher quality audio codecs like G722 and whatnot. I'm just curious.
HD voice. That I do not know. I'd have to answer that. I don't know off the top of my head.
I can answer that.
That's okay.
Oh,
okay.
I can answer that for you quite simply. 711 U is your only option. That is it, and it's TCP as well.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be TLS, but they do insist on it being TCP.
Interesting. Okay.
All right. Any other questions? Well, there seems to be quite a few questions. Somebody's saying that RTA does have a wide. I'm trying to figure out what's questions and what are comments. There's a whole discussion going on in IRC. I think we're good. Any other questions, either to be voiced? If you can voice it, just jump in right now. And while I'm waiting, I'm looking on IRC, and if you have any questions there. Obviously, Jerry, right there with the good one, which is the cost of the device. What's the cost structure? So
the cost of this device, so it comes, all of the software pre-installed, so there's no Microsoft licensing included in the price. The list price is $6,995, so just under $7,000 US.
Okay.
Another interesting use as well of this appliance, it could be used as well for larger companies that have multiple branch offices spread across geographically. So generally, you would use there's an acronym for that type of appliance, would be an SBA. So it's a survivability branch appliance, and you could also as well use this appliance as an SBA. So what you would need to do is you would need to pool this appliance in the branch office. You would need to pool it with all the other with the headquarters server pool, Lync server pool, and that way that would enable you to use multiple instances of this appliance across all your various branch offices.
And the size of the enterprise we're talking about in branches or in seats or whatever, however that would be measured, is what?
So this would be, branches from anything from 25 employees up to 100 employees.
Okay, 100 employees. All right, any other questions out there? By the way, you probably want to switch back to your camera.
Sure.
Yep. Just to see that there's a real human being here.
Yep.
Anyone else? Questions? And how do we contact you for further information? Would that be by email, or is there a contact form on the site? By the way, I should have put the URL in here. I have a...
yes, if you go on.
There is a Sangoma. I'm just going to find... Here's the... I will put this into IRC for the product description. It's not something I can read easily, but those who are on IRC will see it. Otherwise, go to Sangoma and look for their product. It's NetBorder Lync Express. And Julien, how do they contact you?
So yes, so you can contact me at jn@sangoma.com.
And I'm typing that in. Okay.
And if you have any questions you want to take on offline, please feel free to contact me.
So the final question I think will be from Jerry, who's asking if is Hyper-V open to my own VMs? Again, I'm just repeating the question. I have no idea what it's about.
Hyper-V open to my own VMs. So basically, he's using the VMware or VirtualBox technology. He's asking if it's compliant with Hyper-V.
He made a gesture that said something like "comme ci comme ça," so I'm waiting for the clarification. Oh, he's typing it in. He's got some kind of weird microphone issue. Can't. I'm waiting, but it's going to appear on my IRC in a sec. Can you access, oh, that's somebody else. Another question, can you access the desktop on the appliance and set up your own Hyper-V? I guess that's a clarification.
So we have no restrictions in terms of the user rights on the machine.
Okay.
You'll have full admin access to the Windows operating system. So that means that you can use Windows Update and you can update Lync as well.
Okay. Jerry, that answers your question. I saw the thumb up there. So we can live another week. Any other questions for Julien? Go ahead. Somebody was asking.
What was his email address again?
That was JN, that's his initials, at Sangoma.com. And, you can go to Sangoma, the site. Sangoma, by the way, is one of our sponsors on the VUC. They're terrific people. And so they will be happy to hear from you. Just go to this. You can go to the site and look at the products, and I'm sure there's a contact form there as well. But if you want to talk to Julien directly, Jan at Sangoma.com.
Oh, there's still Steve Ballmer again.
Thank you so much.
Steve Ballmer. Yeah, you really need to get in the Hangout to see Jerry's sense of humor. He's putting Ballmer in one of his classic poses there. Andy, thanks. It's nice that you were able to interact. It's a lot of times we don't have topics that you're in the middle of, but you are kind of plunged into Lync, so that's great. I'm really pleased that you contributed. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to do so. I have to say, though, that Microsoft Lync is quite frightening. It really is quite frightening. It is not the simplest thing in the world at all, particularly when you get to the enterprise level of it. Some of the interactions are interesting, shall we say. But then again, it's all effectively driven by Visual Basic. So.
Okay. All right, on that note, I think we'll close it out. Julien, thank you very much. Merci beaucoup de votre intervention. C'était super.
Vous êtes bienvenue.
Et je vous dis à bientôt.
Merci.
Okay.
Bye-bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody, for participating. We're going to take it out on this note, and I'm going to have to go put my pizza in the oven. Ciao.
Bon appétit.
Aren't you glad you stayed to the end? Find more at VUC.me. As usual, thanks so much to Voxeo Labs for their support, Sangoma.com, Onsip.com, E4Strategies.com. The great wideband audio comes from Zip VUCDX.com, a great full-featured conferencing system. Thank you, David Frankel. Thanks to Voxphone for their local rate dial-ins to join VUC. This really is a great group of people. And we welcome your call. Don't be afraid to talk. Go to VUC.me for further contact info.